So I'm Stefenie Lazarus, and I am a business and life coach.
Hello and welcome to Obehi Podcast. I'm your host, Obehi A14, and I strongly believe that everyone has a story to share. Now let's get started into this episode.
For me, I believe that we all have a purpose, we all have a calling on our life. And for most people, change doesn't happen until sometimes a crisis happens to them or they get insight on that. And so for me, my change and my change didn't happen for me until I experienced a life-changing experience. So for me, that happened through crisis. So just to tell you a little bit about my background and my story and how I started coaching, from a very young age, I knew that I wanted to teach and I wanted to help people, but I knew I didn't want to teach children. And so I didn't pursue that because I didn't know where to go with that. I only knew that, you could teach people and children. And so I didn't do anything with that. Went to school and then got a job. And I didn't pursue that. But after years and years of having this burning desire to help people and to teach, and it just kept coming back to me, I realized what I wanted to do was to become a coach.
We believe that everyone has a story to share. We believe in the power of storytelling in today's digital economy. Yes, we believe that our audience need to be touched at the level of emotion so we can better engage. What about you? Do you believe in storytelling as much as we do? Do you want to reach the hearts and minds of your audience? Then join us in our online training class, Storytelling for Content Creators and Digital Entrepreneurs. Come to obehi14.com/storytelling and learn how to leverage your storytelling skills so you can earn more as a content creator and digital entrepreneur. Storytelling is a powerful instrument at our disposal. Let's explore it together. See you in the class.
But again, I didn't pursue that because of fear. And about 10 years went by and I still did not step into my calling and my purpose because of fear. But until 2018, I had a life-changing experience that made me either decide to stay where I was or to make a change. And what happened for me, part of my job is to go to the banks and do various banking. And on that particular day, I was on my way to the bank, and where my office is located, there's a subway underneath, so you could use a tunnel to get to the various buildings around there. And so on that day, I didn't need to use the tunnel because it was a beautiful day and there was no reason for me to use it. But a small, still voice said to me, "Go underground." And I listened and I did. And by the time I went underground and made it to the other side, there was a man that used a van and ran down people on the sidewalk and killed 10 people. And that happened just as I got to the other side. And so for me, my life just flashed before my eyes. And I realized I really wasn't living life and I wasn't stepping into my purpose and my calling. I was just existing. And so that day I made a decision that I was going to go after my dream, figure it out in spite of fear. And that's exactly what I did. And I haven't really looked back since. So that's how I got into coaching.
Thank you so much for that. That is really powerful. It's like having a second chance.
Yes.
You did say that sometimes people don't make the move until circumstances force them to make the move.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for me, that's what happened. Like, I like the way Oprah talks about it. And this is what she says about, life, and that life it's always talking to you, and it whispers to you. And then the whispers get louder. And if you don't listen to the whisper, then it gets louder. And if you don't listen to that loud whisper, it turns into a pebble or a rock, and then it hits you upside your head. And that's what happened to me. Like, I got the whispers along the way. I knew I had a burning desire. It never would go away. There was just something there saying to me, there's more, there's something else for you to do. But I didn't step into it until I was faced with that situation where I could stay where I was, or I could make that change and just take a leap of faith, because I look at it as if I've been given, like you said, a second chance. So I had no choice, really. I had to do it.
That is powerful. And you are doing it now. And I want to believe that those that you are coaching are having the chance to be able to learn because you are really pouring your heart on it. You know,
Absolutely, yeah.
it's different from you do something because you don't have any, you just want to do it because you don't have any other option, and doing something because you really look at it like a calling. Because I believe life is a calling, in that I understand that there are a lot of billions of people in the world, but each of us are also have singular mission that we are supposed to fulfill. And if we
Right.
don't do it, we are cheating the world. We are cheating humanity. So,
Absolutely.
mhm,
I feel the same way. And that's how I felt. I felt like that for years. I felt like I was cheating humanity. I was cheating people on, learning from me, and doing what I stepping into my calling by not fulfilling my purpose. I did feel like I was cheating life and feeling like I was cheating humanity. I felt that way. Absolutely.
thank you for that sharing. It is very important. All right, so like you will see here, we pay a lot of attention to stories, to your background, where you are coming from. Of course, you already share a great part of it, but I'm still going to drag you there more because we like it a lot to talk more about you. And of course, then we'll come back again to what you are doing today, which is your coaching and how you approach it. Now, in your young adolescent growing up, what do you remember around you, like the kind of images around you, the kind of thing that form your personality? What do you want to say about that?
So growing up, my background, I'm originally from Jamaica in the Caribbean. And so what was drilled into me was get an education and work hard and you'll be successful. And so even coming to Canada, it was the same thing. It was, it wasn't as much more in Jamaica. It's more about the way to get ahead is through education. And so that was the path that I took, that working hard and getting an education and you'll be okay. But still, I felt, even though I took that path, I still felt there was something missing. There was something more to life than just going to school, working hard. And there was just more. There was more to that. And that just wouldn't go away. And, over time, I realized that, working a 9 to 5 job and paying bills, and it's just not it. There's more, and it really just wouldn't go away. And even though I really didn't have a lot of examples of people around me that were pursuing their higher calling or their purpose, I really didn't know what this thing was really. And I think that's what took me a long time to step into it, because I didn't have the help, and I didn't have the guidance and the mentor to say how to do it, and this is what you need to do, and this is how you pursue your purpose and your calling. I didn't know where to go, and I think that's why I felt stuck for many years.
Yeah, that is very important. It is absolutely important because that is the point that a lot of people are. In that it's not only that people are stupid, it's that we all need help. Sometimes we don't get this kind of help that we need. Somebody to take us by the hand and show us the way. Because
Right.
the internet is very noisy. And that is the world that we live in today. Or as except you are very careful you are watching very carefully, you are going to waste your time just jumping from widget to widget, from click to click. And because most of the things on the internet are carefully designed to indulge you, uh, to really grab attention from you, you end up just wasting your time until you even have somebody to pull you through. So that
Yeah.
moment that people are stuck is where a lot of people are. Most of us stay there for a long time. We're never able to get out of that. And of course, it end up with the conclusion that it doesn't work. It doesn't work because we don't know how to make it work. This is
Yeah.
challenging.
Yeah, and that's where I was, as I said. It is very challenging to try and navigate the process of figuring out what it is you're supposed to do and how to go about that. And that's why for me, for years, I I knew there was something for me to do, but I didn't know how to do it. And I felt like I was cheating people because I know that there are a lot of people that felt the way I felt. You know, you're just going to work, going through the motion, but you feel there is more. There's a better way and there's a better life. And there's just really no example. And I just, even when I figured out that it was coaching that I was supposed to do, fear still kept me back because I didn't know how to figure it out and I didn't know the process. And I felt like no one is going to listen to me. Who's going to listen to me? Right? That voice, that fear and doubt comes in even when you decide to go after it. But one thing I've learned is that it doesn't matter what you do in life, fear will always be there. So you have to learn how to navigate that and understand that. But the one thing that I've also learned, and maybe it's because the way I got into coaching is that I felt I had no choice, and so I had to figure it out. I had no choice. I had to figure out a process and just navigate and find my way around that. But that's why I'm passionate about what I do, is because I can help people figure that out through coaching. I can help them to figure out what their purpose is, how to create a vision around that, and how to set goals, actionable goals, and what the process is. And that's my calling, you know. And so that's one thing. It is very hard because, like you said, there's so much noise out there, and I experienced that myself. But the one thing that I want your audience to understand is that learning and growth is a process, and sometimes you have to learn, and you have to go through the different and navigate the different things and the different ways until you find your way. But and don't give up along the way. As long as you're making progress and you're moving and you're going ahead, you will find the way, and you'll find the right person to help you along the way.
Thank you for that, Stefan. That is really very important. Because if you don't stop, you will get somewhere. But if you remain where you are, of course, you are not going anywhere now because you are just in the smoke. So it is better that you keep moving. Of course, you are going to fail a number of times. I remember the 2020 year when I just started to get this thing started, this podcasting thing. I did a whole year on self-improvement, where we talked a lot about our human behavior, things that we really supposed to do, how to learn about how to improve our level of communication, to overcome fear, and why not even how to tap into our loneliness, because all these things are important for us. We cannot discover ourselves be in the crowd. The crowd doesn't do that for you. You are
Yeah.
just going to be a number. For you to really discover who you are going to need some prime time, like Les Brown would say. You need some time just for you. Try
Right.
to ask yourself, why are you here? You know, I also learned another thing along the way, that sometimes we are too short sighted to think about our life as if life is just about the day we were born and the day we die. But it is not. We are here for thousands of years. After we are gone, people are going to carry on our experience. That is why sometimes in Africa it is believed that we live forever. We live forever because we live in the experience we have with people or we give to people. So the question is, what kind of life do you want to live after you are gone from this after you have transited? How do you want to impart the world? What do you
Well,
want your name to mean? Yeah, you
yeah,
want to say something there? Please go.
yeah. And for me, I think, I don't know if you're familiar with Miles Monroe. He says, for us to die empty. So to really give, I believe that living is given. And so to give everything that you have inside of you and leave it all here, I think that's the way for me that I want to be remembered, is that I gave it all and I left it all here, and to
That
die empty.
that's highly valuable. That is highly valuable. Because I think now, if we begin to see that, if we begin to see beyond our, let's be very generous that we are going to live up to 130 years old before we die. But after that, this world is still going to continue. So, what do we want to be remembered for? The consequence of this is that if we know this, then we suddenly become very careful the kind of life we live. Our life then come to have meaning because we have a path that we are going. Because suddenly now we realize that it's not going to be easy all the way, but we are going to travel this trajectory because we have a destination. We want to live a life of meaning, of purpose, instead of just in bubble and just jumping around. So I'm finding a lot of interest in the conversation today. It's very interesting. But I want you to help me as we are moving towards your coaching now. Um, this idea that we are always afraid, no? Because I believe in many culture we are educated like this, not to try things that we do not know. I can understand it is part of our evolution also as human being, because we are coming from a very rigorous, a kind of a tragedy, if we want to put it like that, no? And so we are naturally prone to avoid failure. But I believe failure sometimes is good because then you learn. So the question is the fear. Where is this fear coming from? What are we supposed to do about it so that we are not this scared? What if I fail? Come on, fail. It's okay. Human beings fail and then they rise up again. You can
Right.
fall, yes. That is, if you cannot fail at anything, if there is any man who says he hasn't failed anything, that is an individual who hasn't tried anything. So
100%. Yeah.
help me with that, please. The fear and how we shall control it.
I think we as human beings, our natural instinct is survival, right? So when you're in that survival mode, fear comes in. If you think about the animal instinct when they're out in the wild, right? They're looking around to see what's happening, if there's anything there. And I think that's a natural instinct. And I don't think fear will ever go away. However, failure is always part of the process of growth and development. And you learn from that. And that helps you to grow. So failure doesn't mean that it's the end. It just means maybe not this way. Maybe you need to tweak your system. Maybe you need to go back to the drawing board and do it a different way. So failure is not an end. It's a learning experience, and it's there to learn, to teach you. And you learn from that and you grow from that. I just want to share a story with your audience about fear and how that might be able to help them. It's called The Story of Two Wolves. An old Cherokee told his grandson, "My grandson, there's a battle going on inside of you of the two wolves. One is evil. It is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, ignorance, self pity, guilt, resistance, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. The other side embodies positive emotion. It's joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, empathy, generosity, truth, and compassion and faith." So the grandson took a moment to reflect on what his grandfather said to him. And at last, he looked up at his grandfather and asked, "Which wolf will win?" And the grandfather gave him a simple reply: the one you feed. So that is a very powerful story. And what you draw from that, whatever you feed, that will grow. So if you feed fear, that will grow. But if you feed hope and faith, that will also grow as well. So fear will always be there, but don't feed it. It will not go away, but you do things in the presence of fear, and you learn how to get the courage and build up the courage to be able to do things in spite of fear and to learn from your failure. It's just feedback. That's all it is. And you learn from that and you grow from that.
The other day, I was interviewing an expert in theology, but in this case, we were talking about African spirituality. And it was very interesting because at the point, he was saying to me, because we were talking about the concept of God, what is God, and all the things, all the questions that some people think that they are very hard questions. You don't even need to bother about those ones. Why should you be talking about that? We know God created us, the Garden of Eden and all the rest. Yes, fine. But we are human beings. We are here. Let us talk about it. There is nothing we cannot talk about. So he was saying that everything is possible. Everything is already there. All the things that you want to do is already there. It's just for you to manifest it. So what do you
100%.
want?
I agree.
Yeah. So what do you want to manifest? This now, of course, we also relate to what Walter Wallace was saying in his book, The Science of Getting Rich. And this is a book written in 1910. It's basically the same concept. The same element that God used in creating the world is available to all of us. So what do you want to do with it? So this is also in line with what you are saying, that, yeah, the both wolves are there. It's also, we can also go back to the Bible and even take it. You have life and death in your hands. What do you choose? So it's up to us at the end of the day. I believe that because sometimes by the kind of education that we are giving, the idea of limitation, of scarcity, of not that things are not available, we cannot get it, it's not enough for everybody, is too much into us. Of course, this is fueled by the kind of economy that we have. By the time we continue to reason like this, it appears to us that there is really not enough. Whether there is enough, there is too much. There is enough for everybody in this world. But what do we really want? Even though it is enough, even though it is there, even though it is available, you are going to be the one to choose. What do you want? All right, now you are a transformational coach, and that is already important in itself. But what does it really mean, a transformational coach? Help me understand that. To be a great content creator in today's fast-changing economy, you need one thing: storytelling. Storytelling is a powerful instrument to leverage either for personal use or for your business success. This is why this training class, Storytelling for Content Creator and Digital Entrepreneurs, was created. It is designed to help you leverage the power of storytelling so you can stand out from the crowd and earn more in your business. Come to obehi.com/storytelling and learn how to leverage your storytelling skill to earn more as a content creator and digital entrepreneur. You need the power of storytelling to stand out in the competition. So let's explore it together. See you in the class.
Okay, so transformational really means helping people to change their life, not just motivating them alone, but also giving them the tools and equipping them with the change that they need to make and the things they need to do to see the changes in their life and the results that they want in their life. So that's really what transformational means. It's not just motivating and inspiring someone to and giving them information. It's giving them the tools for them to be able to take action, to see the changes and see the results in their lives. And there's different levels to the transformation. You go from one level to another. And I believe that you never stop growing and you never stop learning. And so there's different stages. You don't really get there and say, oh, I got it. It's not. So there are different stages and different levels to transformation. So you talk about awareness. So that's the first. The first step is really being aware that, as you said, that we live in an abundant world and all things are possible to them that believe. And so if you believe that you live in a world where anything is possible for you, and that all you have to do is really believe and step into that and go after that. And that's the first step in transformation, is helping people to realize that anything is possible. And once they see that, then the next step is for them to start making the necessary changes for that to happen. And then you go from one level to the next level and to the next level. But I agree with you. And I do believe that we live in a world where we live in an abundant world and all things are possible for us. But yes, with the way that we're taught and with the media and corporations, they want us to believe that we live in a world of scarcity and limitations. And I personally don't. I believe we live in a limitless world, and that anything is possible for us, and we can have. It doesn't matter where you are or where you're from, whatever it is that you want. And if you really believe that, you can have that, you can do that. But it's very challenging with to change that mindset with the world that we live in, that's constantly telling us that we can only do so much, we can only go so far, and that we can only have so much. So that's where my coaching comes in, where I help people to really change their mindset and the way they see the world that they live in, especially coming out of this pandemic and everything. For us, I don't know how it was over there. We were locked down for a very long time and inside, and by ourselves and not in community and being alone. And all they're telling us on the television, it's so dangerous out there, you shouldn't go out there, and all this fear was forced to us, and that there's only so much you can do, and all this limitation and everything. So I think it didn't help people. It really locked them down, and now people are actually realizing maybe they're wrong, maybe it's not true, maybe there's more. So people are being a little bit more open now to be able to discover, and that maybe there's a different path. Maybe there's something else I should do. Maybe I shouldn't be living a life where I'm just working a job to pay bills and die. Maybe there's more. Maybe there's something else. And even people that face death and came very close to that, they want to make the necessary changes and say, I want more out of life. And so, yeah, so it's transformation is taking a person, an individual, helping them, being there, supporting them through that process.
All right. All right. Yes, we really are in a world of abundance, but we live with the mindset of scarcity. If that is the situation that we are sort of trapped in that sense, how do we now move from the mindset of scarcity, of everything is limited, to the abundance mindset, where we can see a lot around us instead of limited? Help me with that. How are we supposed to transition from that limited mindset to abundance or around us?
Yeah, so it's getting to know who you are. I personally believe that, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and that anything is possible. Like, we're here just having an experience, and we can do anything. And so it's helping them to change that mindset that we're not limited to our minds. A lot of the things that we were taught or that we believe we were taught, I should say. It's not that we know that this is true, and this is the way life is. So changing the status quo and going against that and trying something different and really seeing what can happen if you step outside of your comfort zone and that limiting belief system that you have, you will definitely see changes and you will definitely see results just simply by making that one step, that's saying, let me see what is possible. Now, for most people, that is difficult. The hardest thing is stepping outside of your comfort zone, because even though you might not, well, they call it the comfort zone, not necessarily because it's comfortable, it's just familiar and it's what you know and you're used to it. And so taking that first step to step outside of what you're used to and what you know is the biggest step. But once you do that, you will see a whole new world and things will start opening up and you will see opportunities and situations that you wouldn't normally see. It's all about our perception. So when you are looking at things a certain way, that's all that will come into your perception. But once you open up to new and different things, then you can see a whole new world will open up for you. But part of the process that I take people through is first figuring out what their purpose is, creating a vision so you know exactly what it is that you want, and then setting goals to help you around that. So there is a process, but the first step is really to work on people's mindset and to help them to see that there's a different world or that there's a different possibility, and that the things that we really do is not necessarily based off of our own personal belief and experience. It's actually based off of other people's belief and experience. So knowing yourself and getting to know what do you believe? What do you believe is possible for you? And what do you want? So you really have to figure out what it is that you want. And I take them through that process of creating a vision for their own life and to know what they want, not from society's point of view, but from their own point of view. If you can remember when you were a child, like anything was possible. No one could tell you that you couldn't do anything. You just tried something and it worked, then you moved on to the next. So really going back to when you were a child, like having that childlike mindset that anything is possible and just creating a vision from that mindset, not from a limited mindset, not from society's mindset or what you think is possible for you, but going back there and creating what you want and really figuring it out and creating a blueprint for your life. You really have to just go back and restart your life and refigure out what it is that you want to create in your life, what it is that you want, what is the outcome that you want, not what people think you can do, not what you believe you can do, but what is possible is anything. So what do you want? So you really have to go back and break down the process and figure that out. But it's a lot of changing our beliefs, changing our mindset, because a lot of those, it's not ours. It didn't come from us. It came from the society we live in and our community.
Yeah, that's true. And we inherited them and they control us. So you were saying something relating to the COVID-19 and what people pass through there. That is really quite challenging. And I do think that there are going to be consequences for that even. Because all this memory that we sort of put in our head, sometimes on our own and sometimes by the forces of cohesion that we cannot control. But they have consequences anyway. So we're going to have to deal with it at a point. Talking of dealing with it, talking of being able to come out from the situation that we find ourselves, when you realize that you wanted to change your life, change your way of living, instead of just working to pay B, now you have what we can refer to as a second chance. so you redefine your life, living it more on a purpose. I want to believe that there are some things you didn't know how to do at the time, like learning how to be a coach and learning how to deal with people as a coach. The question is, how did you learn it? What did you do to be able to equip yourself with the knowledge that you needed?
Okay, so I you have to approach it was something new that I've never done before. And so I had to go back and approach it as a process of something new, and I'm just learning. And so the first step that I had to take was to get myself certified as a life coach, because in reality, even though I wanted to help people and I had this deep burning desire to help people, I really didn't know how to be a life coach. And so that was the first step that I took, was finding a school, getting myself certified as a life coach so that I can actually make the impact that I want to help, and to be able to help people to make that change. That was the first thing that I did. And so the school I went to, which was actually very good, because it also, not only did it teach me how to be a coach, it also helped me personally with my transformation and my self growth and development as well personally. So that was twofold. So that was one of the things. And I before that, I did take some coaching courses, some life coach coaching as well. So I did have to do personal development, because I believe that if I'm going to be helping people to change their life and to do these things, that it is something that I also have to experience. And being a coach and being a transformational coach, it's, as I said, it's not about just motivation and inspiration. It's actually living and doing the things. And I believe that I had to actually experience these things in order to help people through that process and experience growth and transformation myself personally, in order to help people to be able to do that and to take them through that process. So that's one of the things. And I personally, I love reading, I love growing. And so personal growth has always been something that was part of my life. And that won't stop. I will always, you'll never learn everything, but I'm always taking courses and I'm always learning. And I want to be able to help my clients the best way that I can. So I'm always learning and growing myself personally. So that was one of the things that was very important to me, to be able to learn what it is to be a coach and how to be able to make the impact that I want, not just go out there and kind of just go online and figure it out. There are a lot of coaches out there, and there are a lot of people, like you said, there's a lot of noises on the internet, but I know the calling that I have on my life and the things that I'm supposed to do, it's to actually impact people and make a difference. And I feel that having the training, the knowledge, and the experience will allow me to be able to do that. So that was the first step that I took. After I had that experience, I just got a school immediately and went through that process.
Thank you so much for that. Um, Now, when people come to you, how do you help them to say, maybe for example, they don't have a clear vision of what they want,
Okay.
and I want to believe that you want to help them to have a clearer vision so that they can have something to work for.
Okay.
What are the process that you take them through to be able to get that?
Okay. So the first step, there are really three steps to get started. And the first step is to discover what your purpose is. The second step is to create a vision for your life. And then the third step is to create goals and a plan to launch into action. So let me just go through the three steps really briefly. So discovering your purpose. Once you realize there's more, there's a calling, there's something that you need to do, even though you feel that tug, or you feel that there's more, you really don't know what to do with that and where to take that with. So I help you to figure out exactly what it is, what's your purpose. Because even for me, even though I knew teaching and helping people was my calling and my purpose, I didn't realize that it was coaching. I knew it wasn't teaching children, but I knew it was, I didn't know what it was. And it took me a very, very long time. And it's actually a very simple process. And I wish someone had helped me with it, because I would have done this years ago. But like you said, like Les Brown says, you know, everything has its time, and he could have done motivation a long time ago and he didn't, but he's still making the impact that he's making, and he's helped a lot of people to change their lives. But I really wish I knew this process when I was years ago, and I would have started coaching then. But here's the first step in figuring out what your purpose is. Just ask yourself these 4 simple questions. What are you good at? So this speaks to your profession. So you may be a good artist, or you may be good at writing, or you might be a good communicator. Whatever it is, what are you good at? So figure that out, write it down. And then the second question is, what do you love? So this speaks to your passion. So for me, I love helping people and I love teaching people. And I've always been passionate about this. So I knew that was my space, but I didn't know where to go with that. And then what does the world need? Sometimes we might think of something and really and truly the world doesn't need it, you know? So you really have to figure out what's the impact that you can make in the world right now. What does the world need from you? So this speaks to your mission. So what is the mission? How can you change the world? How can you impact the world? And then the fourth thing is, what can you get paid for? Because sometimes we create a purpose, but no one will pay for it, right? And at the end of the day, you want to be able to go out there and bring value to the world. You don't want to create something that no one really wants and that no one will pay for. So those are the 4 simple questions. There's a bigger process I can take you through, but for one to really figure out what their purpose is, those are the 4 main questions that you can ask yourself. And then when you ask yourself those questions, see how it feels. When you answer, write it down. How does it feel? If it feels good, then try it out, test it out. Now, you know, with the internet, you can go online and see how people react to it. Test it out if it feels good. If it doesn't feel good, go back, ask yourself the questions again, and rewrite it. So that's step number 1. So that's one of the steps that people can take to figure out what their purpose is and to bring clarity around that. The second step is to create their vision. So you have to really sit down and you have to write out what it is that you want for your life, what it is that you really want. Creating a vision for your life is like creating your North Star. And your North Star is something that you can chase. So once you've got your purpose, then you create and write down your vision around that. And your North Star will keep you going along the journey. It is a journey and it's a process. So it's not like you sit down one day, and I'm sure you went through a process yourself. You sit down one day and you're like, this is it, I'm done. It's a process, it's a journey, and you're always tweaking and redoing and adding things. So you have to be open to life. Life is fluid, it's not static. So you have to be open to the process and that things may change along the way. So the steps that they can take to help them is to really create a blueprint for their vision. So say, for example, look at it this way. If you're going to build a house, what do you need? You need a blueprint, right? Yeah. So the same is true for your goals and dreams. You need to create a blueprint, a formula. You need a roadmap to be able to get to your goals and your dreams. And I think that's one of the things that stop people, is that they have a vision, but they have no clear plan. They don't have a blueprint. They don't know where they're going with it. They're all over the place. Like you said, the internet is very noisy and they're trying different things, doing different things. But when you have a plan, you know what's for you and what's not for you. And you know what will take you there. And not specifically that you know the road, but you know what won't. And that kind of helps you to navigate the journey, and that you really have to know what it is that you want. You have to write it down. And then what happens once you have this written down, it's on your mind, you're thinking about it. And things will come, opportunities will come your way that if you weren't thinking about it, and if you didn't have this written down, that you probably would have missed before. So it starts to open doors when you have a clear vision. And when you have a blueprint, you start seeing things that you probably would have missed. And so this really helps you to give you clarity on what it is that you want and where you're going with this vision, with this purpose. Where are you going with it? And then things just kind of happen out of the clear blue. And I've experienced that for myself as well. Like I meet people and opportunities come my way that if I really didn't have a purpose and a mission and a vision, that I probably might have missed because I really wasn't thinking about that, or maybe I might just say no. So what you really need to do is ask yourself this simple but very powerful question: what would I love? What would I love for my life? And write it out, exactly describe, be very descriptive, paint a picture of exactly what you're looking for. So just like if you say, for example, you wanted your dream house, right? So what you have to do is describe it. Where is it? What city is it in? What do the rooms look like? How many bathrooms are in there? How many rooms are in there? So be very descriptive, because life gives you what you ask for, right?
That's a key word there.
So you got to really create the vision, and make it very big. Do not restrict yourself or limit yourself. Again, as we talked about, having that childlike mentality. So open yourself out to possibilities, and write it out. One of the things you can also do, once you've created this vision, you can create what's called a vision board, where you take photos and pictures of your vision and glue it onto a board where you can see it. You can visually see it every day, and that will remind you. So it's a very simple process of creating a vision board. You can go online and see how to do that. But basically, it is create your vision, and then you get photos that depict that vision that you want in different areas of your life. And then you can glue it on there and put it somewhere where you can see it every day. You can also create a digital one that you can have on your phone. And so you can look at it every day to remind you, because a lot of the things, our mind works in pictures, and we remember things in pictures. So that will help along the process as well. You could put that on your screensaver on your computer, or you can create a digital one. So most people want changes, or they want to experience something different in mainly 4 areas of their life. So you look at your health and well-being, like how do you want your health to be? Not how it is. How do you want it to be? Not what society says. And your love and relationship. So how do you want to have relationship with your family, with your friends? How do you want that to be? Write it down, describe it. What kind of career do you want? Do you want a business? What does that look like? Where is it located? Who are you working with? Be very descriptive. And then the last area is really time and money freedom. So what does that look like for you? Are you traveling the world? Are you volunteering? So really look, most people, these are the 4 areas that I focus on and help people with to create change and to create a vision around that. But you really have to be clear, and you have to know what it is that you want and what you would love. And sometimes when you start doing this process, people do try to limit themselves and start to think about, well, how is this going to happen? Right now, I'm in the middle of nowhere. I have no opportunities. I have no help. How is this going to happen? Don't worry about that. All you're doing right here is just creating a vision. Don't worry about the how. Don't worry about how anything is going to happen. I can tell you personally in my life that I've experienced that there are many times there are things that I want to do, but I don't see the opportunities. But go ahead, create that vision, and doors will open. I guarantee you 100%.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Now, let's look at you as a person that is doing this. Uh, how do you feel now? How do you feel as a transformational coach? Tell me about your feeling about it.
I feel that my life has more purpose. And every day I wake up, it's a new day to create and help people. Whereas before it was just, okay, get up, go to work, do what you have to do. But I feel like I am living more of a purpose driven life now. Every day I think about the lives and the people that I can impact, whether that's just sending them a quote to just motivate them that day. And not necessarily coaching them, but just sending them a little word of encouragement will definitely help them. So each day I look forward to each day and the difference that I can make and the impact that I can make in the world. And even though each day it's a small impact, but it's a step towards the bigger goal. So I am just every day, it's just new opportunities and new ways to really implement um, the things that I'm doing into my day to day life and really live a life from abundance and not scarcity. Now, some days are harder than some because of the world we live in and, the media and all these negative and all these things. And there are things that you do have to do to protect your mindset. So you have to have a daily routine to help you navigate the world that we live in. Yes, we do live in an abundant world, but there's so much negativity, as you talked about before, that's being thrown at us on a day-to-day basis, that you have to find a way to deflect that and find a way to not let that affect your day. And I've always been a very optimistic person. I always look for the good in people and situation and opportunities. So that for me is not hard at all. I'm always been more of a solution oriented person and not a problem person. Like I always look for the solution, always look for the good in situation. But some days it's hard to look for the good in all situations, but you have to find a way to protect your mindset, to protect that as well.
Now, which are some of these ways, this strategy to be able to protect yourself? Because, like you said, you're going to have to build a shield down around yourself. Because one thing I've discovered, of course, I've also learned talking to a lot of people, is that when you want to stand out, it's not easy. It's not an easy part. This is a difficult part when you want to be in business or stand out from the crowd. So you are suddenly becoming in the attention of everybody now because you are doing something different from every other person. Because the population, the general population, irrespective of the country you are living or you are from, are not prone to be in business or stand out from the crowd. Everybody prefers to be in the crowd. Because, of course, this way, it is cheaper, it is easier, it is safer. You can hide your face. You don't even have a face, no? Because you are just another person in the crowd. But when you want to stand out now, you suddenly, for the target, people are going to say things about you. People are going to suddenly see how you talk. People are going to see your face. People are going to see how you dress. Everything about you is now for question. And we need to be strong about that because we are going to remember that we are here for a reason. We are doing this for a purpose. So I'm talking of this shield now that we need to build around ourselves to protect ourselves so that No matter what is coming at us, we are safeguarding ourselves so that we can continue to pull out and go towards our direction. What are your strategies? What do you recommend?
So for me, actually, I never wanted to fit in. Like, I never wanted to follow the crowd. I've never been that type of person. And it could be that I've always, I'm not a tall person, I'm a short person. So I've always stood out. I've always been the shortest. But that never bothered me. Like, I never had a problem. I believe that our differences is what makes us unique and make us who we are. And I think that's a strength. And so I've always used that as a strength to stand out in the crowd. I've never really, I think when I try to blend in, that's where I draw more attention. So I've never really been one of those to blend in and to be a part of the crowd and go with what everyone is doing. I've always taken my own path and do what feels good for me and what I know is right for me. So that for me has never really been an issue. But I know some people, a lot of people, that is an issue. You wanna go with the crowd, and you wanna be in the crowd, and you want to do what everyone is doing. You don't want to make too much noise. You don't want to shake up too much. But I've always felt you can't make a difference, and you can't make an impact by going with the crowd. The crowd doesn't do anything. They don't create change. It's the ones that stand out. It's always been that way. So I've always believed, just be yourself, be who you are, and things will happen, and people will always have something to say about people.
Do you know that telling a story is one of the most powerful ways to connect with your audience? Do you know that the human brain processes story much more easily and quickly than facts and figure? Stories are a great way to engage your audience, get them interested in your products and services, and inspire them to take action. A good story will help you create more compelling content that can be shared on social media or through other channels. And it's not just about telling a compelling story, it's also about knowing how to tell it effectively. Now, do you want to better connect with your audience? Then join us on our online training class, Storytelling for Content Creators and Digital Entrepreneurs. Come to obehi-4.com/storytelling and learn how to leverage your storytelling skill to earn more as a content creator and digital entrepreneur. Storytelling is a powerful way to connect with your audience, so let's explore it together. See you in the class.
Like, I don't think there's anybody in this world that people don't have something to say about them, whether it's negative or positive. So people will always have something to say, and you just have to learn how to not let that whether negativity impact you. And that's why you need to have a purpose. If you have a strong enough purpose and a strong enough calling for your life, that will help you to shield those negativity. That will help you to drive you to do those things that to go against the crowd, and to do the things that might not be comfortable, and to step outside of your comfort zone. Because when you're part of the crowd and part of the general population, nothing is going to happen. That's not where change happens. And so you have to step out of that, and you have to step outside and just be able to show up. And it doesn't, because life is a learning experience. We're not going to have and know what to do in the beginning. Everything that you've ever tried starts out that way. You're a novice. You don't know what to do, but then you learn and you become an expert. And I believe, it's my personal belief, that you don't have to make too much noise to stand out. It's the ones, and it's been my personal experience, that the quietest ones and the ones that are not the loudest are the ones that are actually doing more. The ones that are making a lot of noise and saying a lot, they're not really doing a lot. And I've always believed that. And I believe that if I just continue along my process and keep doing what I'm doing and every day making a little impact here, it will add up and it will speak volume. I don't believe that you have to make a massive change and you have to do something massive to have that impact in the world. That's not my belief, but I do believe you have to step out of that. You have to step away from the crowd to be able to do that and make that impact. You can't blend in with the crowd. It just won't happen. And you just have to know that that is part of the process, that you have to step outside of your comfort zone. Like for me, I thought going into coaching is that I would just be coaching clients and speaking to them, individually and or maybe in a group session. I didn't realize that the impact that I want to do and the things I want to do actually calls me to step outside of my comfort zone and to do something like this, being on our podcast and, maybe be doing seminars live or online. So that's stepping outside of my comfort zone. But I realized early that was part of the process. And so anytime I got an opportunity to be able to help me to grow, to step outside of that comfort zone, I took it. And so sometimes, and in most times, I shouldn't say sometimes, you're gonna have to step outside of your comfort zone if you want to make an impact and if you want to make change. But if you don't know what that impact is that you want, you don't know what that purpose is, you don't know what that vision is, it's going to be a hard process.
Now, how can people connect with you, those who want to do business with you? Because you are online, you have your presence there, and you are available. Today, we do most of our things online because there is internet, thanks to that. So we can connect with anybody in the world. So people that want to connect with you, how can they reach you?
Well, I'm available on LinkedIn, just my name, Stefenie Lazarus. You can search me up there. Facebook as well, Stefenie Lazarus. And on Instagram, it's at Coach Stefenie. That's where you can find me.
Now, what would be your final thought here to conclude the conversation that we have had today? It can be a message, it can be just to reinforce a line that you consider important in the conversation. Please go ahead and do that.
So this is what I just want your listeners to know, that along the journey, as I said, in pursuing your purpose and pursuing your passion, you need to have a support system, whether that's through a life coach or a business coach like myself, or having a mentor, or being a part of a community like this, or having caring and supportive people around you. You can't do it alone. It's a process and it's a journey, and you're going to need support around you in order to be successful. As I said, I wish I had, a coach or somebody to take my hand and hold my hand and tell me what it is I need to do and the process and the things that I need to take in order to get to where I want to do. I really had to figure it out on my own, and it took me a while. So support in this process is very important, and figuring out what your purpose is. What is your purpose? Sit down, write it out, and figure out what's your vision. What are the steps you're going to take to really make that happen? And then set goals around that. So actionable goals, because you can have a purpose, you can have a vision, but if you don't take actions towards that, nothing will happen. So you have to take steps, you have to take action, you have to be willing to step outside of your comfort zone and take actions towards that. And I'm telling you, doors will open. Things will happen when you start to take actions, small actions. And it's all, once you start taking actions, it's in the habits that we create around those goals, daily habits, small little habits. It will add up eventually. Maybe just listening to the podcast every day, and then you set goals around that to do something else. And then what's the next, and that will lead to growth. And then things will start happening for you, and you start learning and you'll start growing. But the main thing to understand, it's a process. It's not a destination. You're learning, you're growing each day, and just taking the next step and the next step. And then the last thing I do want to leave with your audience is that know that what is inside of you is far greater than any challenge that they're facing. I know we're coming out of the pandemic. It was very challenging, and that a lot of people, they don't really know where to go with this and what to do. But know what is inside of you is far greater than any challenge you're facing now. It doesn't matter where you are, where you live. Technology is helping us to connect us more than ever before. So the opportunities are much easier, and that you have the power inside of you to create that possibility for you and believe in possibilities. All things are possible to those that believe. So you've got to have the belief as well, and know that anything is possible. And we live in an abundant world. Don't let fear and worry and all those things stop you from doing the things you want to do. It stopped me for years. I wish I had started earlier, but anything is possible, and you just have to believe. Create your purpose, write it down, write out a vision towards that, and take actionable steps towards that vision, setting daily goal, monthly goal, yearly goals, and just work on those on a daily basis. I guarantee you, you will get to where you want to be, but you can't do it alone. You need support, and you need help, and you need a community. So if you have the opportunity to get a coach, get a life coach, a business coach, that will help to speed up the process. And being a part of a community, that will help you to speed up the process as well. And having support from your family, from your friends, that will help as well. So if you're in a situation where you don't have that support from your family and friends, find a community where you can get that support that you need, because that is also very important for your journey.
Thank you so much for that. That's really very interesting. I appreciate the time and also the sharing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for allowing me to share with your community today. It's been a pleasure and an honor to be able to share with you guys today. And I really hope that they will take these steps and implement them to make the necessary change in their lives.
We appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you, Stefan.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right.
If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you subscribe so you never miss any of our future episodes. Rate and review Obehi Podcast and share with your friends who might need it. I remain Obehi Ewafo. Thank you so much for listening, and talk to you in the next episode.